If you've been shopping around for a high-end Ultrabook in the last couple of weeks, you've probably come across the Lenovo Yoga 3 Pro. It's a top-end machine powered by the latest Intel Core M chip. It comes with a 13.3-inch QHD Plus display, and it's also magnificently thin and light. It's Tim Sheets of a TechSpot here, and Lenovo really weren't kidding when they said that the Yoga 3 Pro is one of the thinnest and lightest laptops going around. Thanks to this 800-piece watch band hinge, it's actually lighter and thinner than the new MacBook Air 13-inch, which is a pretty impressive feat considering the MacBook Air is one of the premier devices for being thin and light, and it makes it extremely portable and easy to carry and take around, easy to use one-handed. And thanks to this hinge, one of the main features of the Yoga series is that not only can you use it as a laptop, which simply flips up like this, but you can also fold it completely flat and all the way around to the back, allowing you to use it as a tablet. And this is a fairly interesting use case for something like the Yoga 3 Pro. Now, one of the things that you might be thinking is, well, is this feature actually useful? And admittedly, I did use the Yoga 3 Pro mostly as a laptop in its specific laptop mode because it's a really handy device in its laptop mode. But when it comes to sharing content with family and friends, I found the stand mode to be particularly useful. You can simply prop it up on a table, use the touchscreen, and go through something like a slideshow, or you could alternatively have it set up next to you while you're cooking with a recipe open. If you want to take the laptop around and show people documents throughout the office, the tablet mode is the perfect for that. You can simply again use the touchscreen, and even though it can be a little bit awkward to hold the Yoga 3 in its tablet mode thanks to its kind of awkward rim around the edge there with its sort of jewel thing from it being folded back on itself, it's still quite handy to have that mode. And of course there's the tent mode as well, which has multiple use cases which you also might find handy. The outer shell is made fully of aluminium, and on this silver model I think it looks particularly great. It's pretty similar to the material that Apple uses for their MacBook Pro, but that said, when you flip it around to see the inside, that is not made of aluminium, so it's not a full unibody. It's in fact made of a rubberized plastic that feels quite comfortable to use when you're using it as a standard laptop and you're trying to type on the keyboard, and the screen is protected by Gorilla Glass. The bezels around that QHD Plus display can be quite sizable when using it as a standard laptop, but it does facilitate that tablet use case. And I did find the Windows button, which is located slightly below the display, to be not that responsive, so you might want to use the charms bar or even the keyboard to activate that functionality in Windows. That said, I really like the form factor. It being so thin and so light is something that companies have been trying to achieve for a long time, and Lenovo has really hit the nail on the head with the Yoga 3 Pro. And it's especially thanks to that watch band hinge that I mentioned earlier, made of 800 pieces of either steel or aluminium. It looks kind of strange straight out of the box. You're not quite used to seeing a laptop with such an intricately designed hinge, but it's extremely strong and allows you to bend it into any position that you want with relative ease. And all these positions are quite easily kept without it sort of flopping around or sliding into a different position or any sort of clicking or latching into place. And that's one of the benefits of having that watch band there. And I also think that the watch band looks excellent. As far as the speakers go, they're located along the bottom edge of the Yoga 3 Pro, and even though they are powered by JBL audio, I didn't think that they were particularly excellent in terms of their quality or also their volume. One thing that I did find quite easy to use though was the keyboard on the Yoga 3 Pro, and it's quite easily set out. There are some issues with some button placements along the right hand side. I'm not keen on there being a button to the right of the enter and also backspace keys, but otherwise I find the keyboard quite easy to type on. There's enough travel in them to be responsive and get enough tactile feedback. The travel isn't excellent. Of course, we're talking about a chiclet keyboard, so on a very thin device as well, so you're not going to get a whole ton of travel, especially coming from something like a mechanical keyboard like I personally use on a regular basis, but it is quite easy to use. Unfortunately, the keyboard backlight isn't activated automatically in low light, but you can turn that on by a simple function command, and generally the layout is quite good with a number of also useful function keys around the place, such as easy function quit and disabling the trackpad if you so like. I also found the trackpad quite easy to use. It is clickable along the bottom edge where you'll typically find the mouse buttons, and navigation was quite easy, especially when I turned the sensitivity up a little bit. Another aspect of the Yoga 3 Pro that I really liked was the display. It's a 13.3-inch QHD Plus or 3200 by 1800 IPS LCD display, which equates to a pixel density of over 270 pixels per inch. Now, Windows does still have issues with display scaling, so not every application that you load on the Yoga 3 Pro will look excellent on this high resolution display. And this is something that I really hope Microsoft will try and address in Windows 10, but if you do have one of those applications that scales correctly, it will look fantastic on this display. You also get the benefits of high saturation, good vibrancy, and fantastic viewing angles from the IPS nature of this display. So there's everything that you'll like about IPS displays has been included in the Yoga 3 Pro. And if, for example, you're looking at a photo or video, sharing this maybe with some friends, the images will look excellent on the Yoga 3 Pro's display. You also get quite high brightness, which helps to cut down some of the reflections from the glossy coating that has been applied to the Gorilla Glass. That said, having the display set to a high brightness level will reduce battery life significantly compared to the lower brightness levels. So just keep this in mind if you're planning on using the Yoga 3 Pro outdoors, for example, where you will need to crank up the brightness a little bit above standard. But not every aspect of the Yoga 3 Pro was particularly excellent. One area that I was quite disappointed with, to be honest, is the performance and battery life from Intel's new Core M chip. These were the chips that Intel was touting as having quite similar performance to Haswell at much lower TDPs. This does have a lower TDP, it's only 4.5 watts compared to 11.5 watts being the lowest TDP on Haswell, and it's based on new 14nm process, which means it should be more energy efficient. We're talking about a 1.1 GHz core clock with a 2.6 GHz boost clock for the Core M5Y70 in this particular model, but I wasn't overly impressed with what it brings to the table. Doing a direct comparison between the Yoga 3 Pro and the Yoga 2 Pro, which is powered by Haswell, there is a slight performance reduction going to Broadwell, and this is a little bit disappointing, something I'm not too surprised about considering that the TDP is over half, but ideally I would like to see the same performance going from two similar form factors in a generational upgrade. It is still quite good performance around the operating system, meaning if you're using things like Chrome, you won't find it to be too slow or laggy, but if you are planning on running games, the 3D performance isn't great. I couldn't play really any intense 3D titles at even the lowest possible settings, reducing the resolution quite a lot. It was just not playable on this laptop at all. And even though it's not a gaming laptop, even just browsing the web and scrolling through web pages, you'll see quite high CPU utilization, which is something that I don't really like to see on something so basic as just simply scrolling through web pages. However, when it comes to battery life, this is where it really disappointed me. The Yoga 3 Pro, and I use this device to actually write the full written review, which I hope you check out on techspot.com. Trying to write that review in Word and having Chrome up as well, browsing the web, I only really got 5 to 6 hours of usable battery life at a reasonable brightness for sort of an indoor setting. And for an Ultrabook that's thin and light and I expect to be quite energy efficient, this is fairly disappointing. I was expecting more like 8 or 9 hours from a device, and this isn't too much to ask because other laptops on the market today you will get in the upwards of 8 hours, especially the MacBook Air with its fantastic 12-hour battery life. So in that respect, it was pretty disappointing to see that the Yoga 3 Pro, for its great form factor, doesn't have battery life that's all that impressive. So the question now becomes, would I recommend the Yoga 3 Pro? And as I mentioned earlier in this review, there's a lot of things that I really like. This is a near perfect form factor for a laptop. It's thin, light, and portable. It flips around to a number of use cases like stand mode and tablet mode, which extend upon the basic use cases of a laptop. I found the keyboard to be generally okay, the display was also excellent, and the trackpad, again, quite easy to use. But on the other hand, Core M disappointed with its performance and especially its battery life in the Yoga 3 Pro. So if you're wanting an Ultrabook that is thin and light, then definitely check out the Yoga 3 Pro from Lenovo. It will set you back around $1,200 to $1,300 for the entry-level model with a 256 gig SSD. But if battery life is a concern, as I'm sure it will be for quite a lot of people out there, you might want to look into another product, and that includes the MacBook Air with its fantastic battery life. So there's a little bit that Lenovo has to work on. And I'm not going to discount either buying the Yoga 2 Pro, which comes with better battery life than the Yoga 3 Pro in quite a similar form factor. So that is, of course, another option if you did want slightly better performance and battery life from Lenovo. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video review of the Lenovo Yoga 3 Pro. Don't forget to check out the full review where I go into a deeper analysis on TechSpot.com. Do please subscribe to this YouTube channel for more video reviews coming in the future. Thanks guys, this has been a TechSpot video review.